Well, hello everybody, and I've actually prepared a speech. Those of you who know me know that I almost never do a prepared speech. I might work from an outline, but I shoot from the hip. Today I promised I would do a prepared speech, but before I do that I have to tell a very short story. SAA was looking for a marketing firm to develop all this nice material, these nice shirts you see that some of us are wearing, the nice lapel pins. Well, I got several proposals in, and one of the firms, the one that we ended up choosing, sent in a video. And it was a video of a guy at a concert standing down in the middle of a lawn, no shirt on, just dancing, and he was oblivious to the rest of the world around him. And he was just having a great time, and everyone standing around him was looking at him like he was some kind of freak. And the marketing company said, "That's you, Steve." And I kind of laughed when I saw that, but then I watched the video, and all of a sudden another guy came down. And this other guy started dancing too. And everyone saw this other guy come down and dance, and they thought, well, you know, that's a great idea. And then a couple more people came in and danced. A couple more people came in and danced. Before you knew it, everyone was dancing. And what this marketing company told me was, okay, you're the shirtless dancing guy. Who is the first one that comes down and dances with you? Because that's the leader. You're not the leader. It's that first person that comes down and dances with you and says, that's your leader. And that's him right there, Norman. And we're going to... Okay, so there's my little diversion. Now I'm going to go to my prepared speech. I was really asked to speak about what the feed mill means to the aquaculture industry, but I wanted to kind of take a step back and look at the bigger picture. And so I'm going to talk about what these organizations mean to the aquaculture industry, the organizations you've heard us talking about so far today, because I feel that is really a more important message. Yes, the aquaculture producers throughout the region and hopefully even internationally will benefit from having another feed mill available to get products. That's great. That's going to benefit our soybean farmers as well. But really there's a bigger story here, and the importance of what's happened over the last several years. It's really culminated in the opening of this mill, and it's far more significant than just the opening of this mill. But before we get there, you know, in high school I was a history buff. I loved history. So it was one of my favorite subjects, so I'm going to just bore you a little bit with some history. Because, you know, I really believe if we don't look at where we were, then how are we going to know where we're going? So I'm just going to take a few minutes here to talk about some history. I ask you to pardon me if history is not one of your favorite subjects, and we'll get off of that here shortly. But today marks the culmination of years of dedicated work from all these organizations that we've heard about. You know, we started these efforts back in 2007, as we discussed earlier, with the dream of attracting a feed mill to the state of Indiana. Really, Bell Aquaculture and the Indiana Soybean Alliance were the first two organizations that really had this vision. And we started partnering with a lot of you in this room to make this happen. This very simple beginning has now led to something much larger. As we continue to strive down this path of getting this feed mill, something happened. People started to notice. Some of those people are here in this room. Some of these people are all over the world. We were all in the spotlight. Individual organizations with an interest in developing aquaculture started looking at Bell and the Indiana Soybean Alliance as leaders in growing this aquaculture industry domestically. As the director of aquaculture for Indiana Soybean Alliance, I started getting calls from other soybean organizations and other commercial organizations asking what can they do to get involved in growing domestic aquaculture. Our board members started getting phone calls. And we quickly recognized that there was a greater need than just the Indiana Soybean Alliance Aquaculture Initiative. So in 2011, we started the Soy Aquaculture Alliance. It's a joint collaboration between U.S. soybean producers and leaders from the aquaculture industry. Several of you are here today. Bell Aquaculture was our first non-soybean member. So there's our second dancer, our leader. Several of you in this room followed quickly after that, including Aquaculture Enterprises, or you may recognize them as Pranger. And then we have Pentair Aquatic Ecosystems also joined in as part of these efforts. So we formed the Soy Aquaculture Alliance in an effort to coordinate our efforts. There was a lot of work being done, but no one was really focusing those efforts. So we decided to take a step back and do a strategic approach to growing aquaculture. Through funding supplied by our non-checkoff members, Soy Aquaculture Alliance started to get active in Washington, D.C. These efforts quickly paid significant dividends. SAA and Bell became recognized nationally as organizations to talk to get involved with. People throughout the seafood industry started to take notice of our organizations. Speaking engagements started to pour in. Norman, who never wanted to fly on an airplane, now probably has 1 million frequent flyer miles in just the last couple of years. People wanted to hear our stories and find out how to get involved with what we were doing. As a result, last year we started the Coalition for U.S. Seafood Production, CUSP for short. This is the first time the greater seafood industry as a whole came together to focus our efforts in Washington, D.C. to address the need for growing domestic aquaculture. I really hope you're all picking up on a common theme here. Leadership, Bell Aquaculture, the Indiana Soybean Alliance, the Soy Aquaculture Alliance, leaders. Just within the last couple of weeks, the President of the United States called for development of this country's federal waters and the need for sustainable aquaculture growth. I firmly believe this would not have happened if it weren't for our efforts. The President would not be making these claims. All right, I thank you for indulging me on my brief history lesson. Now let's look to the future and where we're going. The U.S. has found itself at a crossroads over the last couple of years. We import more than 90% of our seafood. And we're only eating half of the seafood that every health professional says we should be eating. What can we do about this? We can continue to import the seafood and see fewer products available in a global economy that no longer views the U.S. as the #1 seafood market. Or we can learn from these lessons, from our past successes, especially in the rest of the agriculture realm. Steve did a great job of pointing out how the U.S. is leading the world in most agriculture production statistics. We have all the natural resources necessary to accomplish aquaculture development. For those who argue that the U.S. cannot compete because of our higher costs of living than most of the developing world, I give you the example of Norway. The cost of living in the U.S. outcompetes the cost of living in Norway in just about every consumer index you could possibly consider looking at. Yet Norway is a leader in global aquaculture production, ranking 6th globally. There is no reason why the U.S. cannot compete with Norway. Why was Norway successful? Because they focused strategically. They decided they were going to make a significant effort to develop salmon aquaculture, and they did. I believe through our efforts, these organizations here today can come up with the same strategic focus. Today we have a new source of feed available domestically to grow aquaculture products, and these are new markets for our local soybean farmers. Tomorrow, who knows what we'll have, but we'll be there because of our focused effort. These efforts are a result of the organizations you see here today, and I believe the necessary leadership to continue will come from these exact same organizations. So today, let's congratulate Bell, Indiana Soybean Alliance, for their efforts in getting this feed mill here to our state. But let's look forward to tomorrow and where we can go from there. Thank you.